Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Weston Truss, and today we're going to be talking about ways in which you can directly market yourself as you begin the process of writing your resume, especially as you begin to think about ways in which you can directly articulate some of your key experiences, your skill sets, as well as the variety of different projects that you've had the opportunity to participate in here at Virginia Tech, external to Virginia Tech, through the variety of different internship, work opportunities, as well as design teams that you may have participated in. And that means that you have to develop that resume so that you can share that information directly with that campus recruiter that you might be interacting with at that campus career fair, or even through whenever you submit that resume document to a job search platform such as Going Global, Glassdoor, Indeed, as well as the variety of other job search platforms that happen to be here at Virginia Tech, but also the ones that you can directly search on the variety of website platforms as well. And so as we really begin to think about ways in which we can market ourselves, we want you to think about those two things. One is, of course, developing that resume so that you can utilize it, but also in case you are not necessarily getting opportunities at those career fairs, you can directly go to the variety of different job search platforms and be just as effective within marketing yourself, because of course, you're able to articulate your skill sets, your projects, as well as your other experiences directly on your resume document so that you can find an internship opportunity as well as full-time opportunities as well. And with that, let's get started. And so first of all, my name is Weston Truss, and I'm currently an Assistant Director of Diversity Initiatives and Community Outreach within Career and Professional Development. My role is designed to have an even greater impact over underrepresented and underserved communities across campus here at Virginia Tech. And through that experience, it really provides me the unique opportunity to work very closely with each of the cultural and community centers, MAOP, SOAR, as well as UJIMA. And I also serve as a career advisor within Career and Professional Development, where my role allows me to also help students directly in developing their resumes, do salary negotiation as they receive a contract from that organization, also assisting them with career fair exploration or career and major exploration and career fair preparation processes, et cetera. And so, of course, those are some additional things that I wanted to make sure that I have the opportunity to share with you. But also, really, whenever it becomes to really thinking about your resume, it really is an opportunity for you to tell your story, where whether it be through some of your different experiences, your skills that you've developed by participating in our pre-professional student organization, or by participating in the Asian Cultural Engagement Center as a student assistant, or even as a fellow for the El Centro or the Hispanic and Latinx Cultural and Community Center. All of those different things really provide unique skill sets and projects that you might be able to place directly on your resume. And so I utilize the CATS resume as a really great option. And so it's really great idea to list some of these different skill sets, but you also have to make sure that you show your different experiences, whether you happen to be a negotiator, if you are within business BIT, or whether you happen to be having a human resource focus specifically for your business degree, or whether you happen to have a criminology degree where you're trying to showcase why you would be a really great fit for a organization not related to your specific major. So all of those things are very important as we think about ways to market ourselves and think about our key skill sets and how to articulate them directly on our resume. And so one of the big things is that I want you to think about is, what do you think should be really included into your resume document? Well, frankly, of course, is some general information that you want to make sure that's always there for the most part. Your name should be directly within the header location along with your contact information. I always receive a lot of questions coming directly from students about what is your name as well as your contact information that should be included within your header location. Well, that sometimes shifts just a bit depending on the student. So of course, your name, your email address, phone number, and city, state, and zip code is really great to be included directly within your header. And they could fall right under one another. And also, if of course you are interested, but it's not required because for you to include your full street address on the left as well as the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, you sometimes will include a local address. And also if you have a permanent address, you can include that on the right-hand side of your contact information as well. However, that's not necessarily always required, simply because, of course, whenever you submit that application via the job board or job posting, you will actually be required to submit a street address of where you're located. And you want to kind of be very honest just in case the company or organization is offering you a bit of relocation for your internship or even relocation for your full-time opportunity as well. But also, whenever it comes to your education, you also want to make sure that's on there. And normally, the reason why that's significantly important as well is because sometimes our first and second year students, they will have their high school experiences on there as well as potentially if they transfer to Virginia Tech from a junior college, then of course that means you have 3 schools listed under your educational experience. So of course, Virginia Tech is your most recent and most relevant experience on, or most recent and relevant educational experience on your resume document. And so that's something that you want to make sure that's onto your document right now, of course. And of course, by the end of your second semester of your second year here at Virginia Tech, you want to make sure that you're starting the process of removing all of your high school experiences. And also, although I have work experience directly on this PowerPoint, I'm a big fan of really rechanging or reformatting that to really articulate professional experience. And the reason why we really want to focus on professional experience versus work experience for college students is simply because a number of your different experiences will be paid, as well as unpaid experiences, projects, design teams that you might be participating in for a pre-professional organization, or whether it happens to be a personal project that you're working on for your computer engineering coursework, or whether it happens to be something that you just are doing for your aerospace engineering coursework. There's just so many different ways in which you can articulate that to highlight some of your key projects, and of course your skill sets that would be able to add value to the organizations in which you're applying. Also, whenever it comes to the much more of the bottom portion of your resume document, especially for some of our students, that's going to vary depending upon your different activities that you started the process of getting in. And so that could be community service activities, or even sometimes it's entitled extracurricular activities, along with individuals who are gaining undergraduate research experiences or research experiences for your master's degree or even PhD. You could also include your research experience, which could highlight some of the different key publications that you've had the opportunity to do in collaboration with faculty members, graduate students, and others. Also would be, of course, presentations that you've had the opportunity to facilitate during one of the general body meetings at your professional student organization, or some leadership roles that you've had the opportunity to be part of. Maybe it's for the Engineers Students of America, or maybe it's the SAS group as it pertains to science and other things of that nature. Also, awards and scholarships is something that you can directly place onto your resume document as well, along with study abroad in languages, but we'll get to that in just a moment as well. So, but whenever it really comes to really beginning the process of writing your resume, especially if you haven't done so before, it really comes down to 5 different steps. One, of course, is really gathering and organizing your information, really trying to figure out what are some of my different experiences, really just trying to get my name on paper, my contact information, my education, possibly even adding an objective, which we'll get to in a moment here, but just really trying to put that information down on paper and the different experiences, knowing that I was able to do this particular project last semester, also trying to make additions for the new projects that I'm participating in that might be able to add more value to the different organizations that I'm planning on applying to. Then, of course, you want to directly put that onto paper. Also, you want to begin the process of formatting your resume. It's very important that your resume, of course, is aesthetically pleasing, but you also want to make sure that you are articulating it in a way that recruiters and individuals from those different companies, organizations, et cetera, are able to review your document very quickly. Because on average, most recruiters only look at your resume document for about 6 to 12 seconds before they even have the opportunity to go forward with an interview process with you. So it's not a very lengthy time period, and they're not going to stress themselves trying to figure it out. Also, you want to make sure that you proofread your document quite consistently, whether you have a second set of eyes to take a look at it. Of course, you can come directly to Career and Professional Development, and we're always excited to be able to assist you as you really begin the process of navigating that proofreading process or trying to go through that resume critique. And then, of course, every 6 months, you want to make sure that you're updating your resume document. And the reason, especially for early career professionals like yourselves, would be important for you to update your information is because, of course, you're taking new classes every single semester. So that means you have new projects to be able to highlight. And then, of course, if you're participating in new pre-professional student organizations, as well as participating in new forms of projects that you want to make sure that you highlight, to highlight new skill sets that you're being able to directly employ potentially at a new organization to be able to add value, you want to make sure that's known. And then as you're developing and as well as you're adding that new information, you also want to make sure that you go directly online on your LinkedIn, as well as your Handshake, as well as all of these different platforms that you're utilizing to really get your footprint a bit wider with those different recruiters, those different organizations. You want to make sure that's up to date as well, so that they can know all of the different skill sets that you're gaining, so that they might start reaching out to you versus you having to reach out to them, so that you're always having new opportunities before you, so that you can navigate through those opportunities as well. And so whenever it comes directly to really preparing for the basics as it pertains to really what do you want to, how do you actually put this information onto your resume document? It comes down to your different types of fonts. Some of the fonts are just easy to read, some are not. The ones that we have on here is just some typical basic ones that I strongly encourage: Calbria, Cambria, Arial, as well as Times New Roman. I'm a big fan of Times New Roman, simply because, of course, if you're keeping it between a 10 and 12 font, it's a bit smaller comparatively to the other font styles, and simply because, of course, it really doesn't utilize a lot of space. And normally as a undergraduate student, we're trying to keep you down to one page, and we don't want to necessarily go beyond that normally, especially for industry related roles and opportunities. However, if of course you're like one of the students that I've had, there's always the exception. Of course, I always encourage that you come see one of our career advisors within career and professional development, or myself, and I'll be more than happy to explain some of those details to you. But you want to keep it for the most part to one page, and there are exceptions if, of course, you have some unique experiences, unique skills, as well as have a number of different internships that you can directly highlight that would be a benefit for the organization to be aware. Also, you want to keep it between 0.5 as well as 1-inch margins. Do not utilize Microsoft templates, Apple, Google, any of those. We want you to start with a blank document and start the process of formatting your resume so that it can be somewhat aesthetically similar to other candidates, but we just really want you to be able to focus on your key skills, experiences, as well as things that you're looking for as it pertains to the job posting that you're applying for. Also, you always want to make sure that you use active verbs to start bullet points, as well as do not utilize personal pronouns such as I, me, my, and simply because we want your document to be very similar to what other candidates are doing as well. Also, one of the big things as it pertains to your resume document, you never want to lie on your resume just so that you can gain an opportunity for that organization, because of course that could really lead to some difficulties down the line as it relates to ethical as well as integrity concerns, and that can also put you whenever you're having to submit a job application. I know for some they will ask, have you ever had a situation where you were terminated based on ethical or integrity concerns? And that could really lead you to not necessarily receiving certain type of financial institution organization, gaining access to financial institution organizations and other places alike as it pertains to those types of situations as well. And so as it pertains to these different basics, again, it really comes down to the order of importance. So you want to make sure that your stuff is really ordered in a very chronological fashion. So the most recent stuff goes first, such as your name, your contact, education, experience, other. Typically, and order of experience is reverse chronological order. And so let's say we're talking about your education, and you had a high school, your junior college, as well as your Virginia Tech experience on your resume document. Well, you want your Virginia Tech to go first, your junior college, and then of course your high school experience. Because of course, we're only more or less a lot of the times concerned about, okay, where are you at now versus where were you? But we also want to see where were you sometimes, just so that we can really navigate through some of those different experiences. Just to remember, do not keep your high school experiences on your resume document, simply because of course, it's only important up through your first or second semester of your second year or your sophomore year here at Virginia Tech. Also, bullet points. And so you want to make sure that you structure your resume document in a bullet point format. The bullet point format should always be indented just a bit, but it can also fall right below those different headings. And so we'll see that in a moment here as well. Also, you can utilize 2 to 6 bullet points. You don't want to overload the recruiter, because of course they will get the understanding of what you're trying to share based on some of the different things that you're trying to showcase based on your different experiences, your skills, and things that you're directly highlighting. And so, of course, making sure that it get reviewed or you have a resume critique done by one of our colleagues within career and professional development, or one of your faculty members, or even individuals within the various cultural and community centers. They're really great. But of course, we would always recommend that you come directly to our office as well. Also, you want to make sure that you utilize present tense for things that you're currently doing, past tense for things that you've already completed. And so it's always important to make sure that you just check those tenses that you have currently on your document as well. And so, of course, as we begin the process of thinking about placement of certain things onto your document, of course, it comes to when to include an objective or when not to include an objective. And so you're probably wondering, okay, I didn't see that on the thing, on the overall general formatting of our resume document. So you can typically include one. I really strongly recommend undergraduate students to have an objective constantly. And it's normally going to be your name, your contact information, or your name, email address, phone number, city, state, and zip code. Your objective statement will follow right below that. And then of course, you'll have your education. So the objective statement really provides you the opportunity to be a bit more specific and allows you to also focus your resume a bit more on the specific opportunity that you're looking to trying to get, whether it be seeking an internship for the field of software engineering for the summer of 2022 is a way of which you would make sure that your resume document is a bit more tailored, as well as it's going to reduce a bit of confusion as it pertains to the organization, especially if you're going to a career fair and they're wondering, okay, what exactly are you looking for, being that you're currently majoring in business information technology with a focus on finance here at Virginia Tech. And so, of course, you can clearly highlight, okay, you're actually looking for those key opportunities because, of course, you have similar experiences and similar technical skills as some of our software engineers, because, of course, you have some of those technical skills regarding your technical languages, et cetera, et cetera. And also another thing is why not to write an objective is simply, of course, the obvious, where you're just simply trying to create fluff or at least fill up some of the white space that you have on your document. Also, if you aren't trying to go ahead and tailor your document, it's not really a good reason for you to just simply utilize an objective. However, again, I'm going to strongly suggest for each of you to really begin the process of trying to make sure that you include an objective if you're just looking for a job opportunity at a career fair, but also if you are looking for opportunity on those different job search platforms as well, whether it be Handshake, Indeed, Going Global, Career Shift, and of course, as you're trying to apply for different opportunities on LinkedIn, it's going to be very useful for you to navigate it that way. Also, the general objective is to obtain an internship in the field of packaging design for the summer of 2022. And so that's a really great objective, especially if you're trying to leave it a little bit more general for the purpose of, so you're searching for software engineering internships. But if you want to make sure that you have a more specific objective where you include the specific organization, then of course you have to change the resume information each and every time, such as to obtain a co-op with a Packaging Corporation of America during the 2021-2022 academic year in the field of packaging design. So this is a much more specific objective statement that really gets to the heart of exactly what you're looking for, as well as the company in which you currently probably are applying for as it pertains to a cooperative experience. And so that's a really, really good objective. Also, whenever it comes to education here at Virginia Tech has two general appropriate names, but of course, one of them happens to really be highlighting the way in which the university itself markets itself as Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech markets itself as Virginia Tech, and that's simply it, and that's what we typically encourage our students to include directly on their resume. Yes, the second version that I have here at the bottom here is Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. And yes, you could include that directly on your resume document. However, it's going to utilize quite a bit of space, but also be considerate as we think about what if recruiters are not necessarily from the area, so, or from Virginia, so they might not be as familiar with Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. Being a Mississippian, I was not very familiar with the full entitlement of the university. As Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, I was very familiar with Virginia Tech. And so I think as you really think about ways in which you can market yourself, you might want to actually just include Virginia Tech. And if you have concerns or questions about that, always feel free to come by our office. Also, the way in which you could write your education, the section into your resume document, is the way that we currently have it set up over here on the screen right now. And so I think that could be very useful for you, especially as Some of you are thinking, how do I actually begin the process of writing my resume document or my education into my section here? So you can write it as, well, normally I like to see it Virginia Tech, Blacksburg, Virginia first, and then I would have Bachelor of Science in Packaging Systems and Design right below it. And that's how I would normally encourage students to do it as well. And then on the right-hand side, you would have your expected graduation of May 2021. And then, of course, if you have a GPA of a 3.0 or higher, normally I'm going to encourage that you include that onto your resume document. Now, if you have a cumulative GPA of less than 3.0, you can include your in-department GPA if it's actually higher, but we'll still tell you to go ahead and include your cumulative. But normally we can have a conversation, one-on-one conversation if you want to really discuss that a bit more, depending on the organization and potentially their internship program and how they make selection pertaining to their candidates. So that's a really, really great question, but I would definitely say that come to a one-on-one meeting and we can have a conversation about that a bit more. Also, you can also include courses into your education section. Normally, I would have I would have a subsection entitled relevant coursework and only name up to four to six different courses. And those courses should distinguish you from other candidates across the country. And so that means that you probably want more advanced coursework onto your relevant coursework section to showcase to those organizations that you've already gained those skills, or you are in the process of gaining those skills for the upcoming semester that you're taking these classes. Also, if you don't have many awards, you can also include academic awards as well as study abroad within your educational section. Also, sometimes individuals during their study abroad programs, they actually do a number of different projects. And some of those different projects, depending on what it is, can also be included directly within your professional experience section, where you're highlighting what exactly is the project that you've done, specifically in collaboration with a faculty internationally at the other institution that you're at, or within those local communities in which you happen to be hosted by within those international communities that you're at. So those are things that you can also think about as you're navigating your resume document as well. And so, of course, this really brings us to the experience section of how to really begin to structure your experience bullet points. And so, of course, first of all, you want to make sure that you structure your bullet points by your skills, structure, verb, as well as results, and clarify. And we're going to clarify that the different structures of that in just a moment. So first of all is really recognizing that the experience bullet points are really focused on those skill sets. So what did you get out of performing this particular duty? And so, okay, and we're going to show you an example in a moment. And then of course, you structure it directly into a sentence. And then of course we have, you want to make sure that you start your bullet point with a strong action statement. The results is what were the outcomes of this particular work. And you want to clarify as much as possible. I can't stress this one a bit enough here, is because of course you want to make sure that you add details and numbers, and you want to make sure that you answer who, what, when, where, how many, as you respond to these different questions here. So the example that I have on the screen is the one that's directly within our career planning guide as well. And so it's about answering phones. And so a number of you have probably answered phones, whether you are an assistant within your work study program, or whether you happen to work for a college across campus, or whether you happen to work within firm professional development as a peer career advisor, or whether you happen to be an ambassador for some program in the college, in the admissions and scholarships office across campus as well. And so answering phones is a really great skill, but what is the overall skill that we're learning there? Well, it's communication skills. And then we want to make sure that we structure that into a sentence as we start the process of developing our bullet point here. I learned communication skills while answering phones. And then of course, we want to start it with a verb. So we want to make sure that we move that personal pronoun as well. So we develop communication skills while answering phones. And then of course, we got the results, develop communication skills while answering phones to address customer concerns. So the bullet point is starting to look a little bit more thorough here, which is really nice. So we were able to develop excellent communication skills while addressing up to 50 customer billing concerns per shift by phone. And this is a wonderful, wonderful bullet point. And the reason it's a really great bullet point is that it also showcases how you were able to develop communication skills by addressing 50 customer billing concerns per shift by phone. And if your work week is a 5-day work week, that means we understand that you're interacting with over 250 customers approximately each week, and over 1,000 typically in the course of a month. And so that means we are understanding your overall value that you could potentially add to our organization if you're able to utilize those key skill sets that you gained then to be able to bring directly into our organization as well. And so you also want to make sure that you're making it tangible and really trying to quantify your different results, et cetera, whenever it comes to clarifying those key details. So how much, how many, how often is often the question that I'm receiving, whether it is trying to showcase that you are able to, on your resume document, ways in which you can do that is showcase like you collaborated with 4 individuals on the project of X to do X, Y, and Z. Or you led a group of 4 to manage the overall expectations of the X, Y, and Z for X company. And so those are ways in which you can start the process of quantifying some of your current experiences in your various projects, or whether you have led a team for the professional organization that you happen to be in. And so those are different ways in which you can quantify. So I have a couple of examples here where you've increased production by 55% through doing X, Y, and Z. Those are things, that's a tangible way for organizations to see your overall value that you were able to add to whatever project that you've had the opportunity to work on. Also, if you raise over $4,000 for the American Cancer Society through doing what is a way of really responding to that. Also, think about your variety of other accomplishments when it comes to these different results is you became the top seller of the division within the first year. Also, you were able to develop a partnership with the Japanese Study Abroad program. And so there are a number of things that you're able to highlight that you can do, even through some of your different experiences that you're gaining on campus as well. Also, whenever it comes to your key skill sets, you want to make sure that you are highlighting those skills. If they are like technical skills, you can include computer skills, programming languages, as well as your certifications, but you don't necessarily need to include experiences regarding your soft skills, such as communication, team player, and unrelated activities such as rock climbing and even Netflix. And I received so many different questions about how to highlight that. And so of course that goes to really your name, your contact information, possibly your objective statement, and then your education. And right below your education, if you're not going to include your relevant coursework, you can include a skill section in a column style format, but also make sure that you include bullet points with those as well. So you could do 3 or 4 across and then 3 or 4 going down, depending on the number of skill sets that you're able to highlight from your various levels of coursework. Also, something that you don't necessarily have to have on your resume document is your references. So don't write references available upon request. You want to make sure that you keep them on a separate sheet of paper and utilize similar formatting that you utilize on your resume document. They should always ask permission each time that you enter your reference. Now, certain companies or organizations will request that you include your references in the process of submitting your application. Just be aware that you've already taken care of asking the specific individuals who, if they are willing to be your reference, or if you've already had that completed, just make sure that you double check. Also, here are 2 different examples as it relates to the resume document and what they generally will look like. I'm a big fan of both of these here. I would probably just only suggest on the left-hand side here for each of the different headers, I would probably push over my information just a bit more to align probably under education, as well as objective, and each of the individual headings that we have on the document as well. So while it says has relevant experience and no relevant experience here, you don't necessarily have to look at that as well. But also whenever it comes to your resume document, you only want to include facts, not opinions. And you want to make sure that you think about, I am a strong, an opinion here would be an I am a strong leader. Instead, you're going to highlight a fact where you led a team of 14 undergraduate students in doing what? Maybe you were an orientation leader. And so of course you want to highlight your leadership skills, or maybe you were doing a project specifically for the Asian Cultural Engagement Center, or the LGBTQ+ Professional Development Task Force, or all those other things that happen to have a unique skill set that you can showcase that you've led something on, or maybe you collaborated with a faculty member on, or even an external partner to the university on to effectively do X, Y, and Z. Also, a great communicator, served as a conversation host for international students, is a fact versus the great communicator, that's just your opinion, what you're sharing about yourself. Also, you might say that you're a hard worker. Well, how are you a hard worker? We want to see exactly how you've been able to add value, such as you have achieved a 45% increase in customer response through doing X, Y, and Z. So all of those things are very important, or at least really great ways to start the process of framing the different experience section or the professional experience section onto your resume document as well. And so, of course, if you have questions, I would be more than happy to respond to some of those different questions that you may have, but that will conclude all the different questions or some of the different concerns as it relates to the resume writing process and how you can best put yourself forward as you begin to really think about getting your resume prepared for the upcoming career fair, those different job postings that you might have to submit for, because we know that there might be some challenges in terms of getting an internship at the career fair. So we want you to still set yourself up for success as you prepare for that as well. Any questions? Okay, perfect. And I'm going to stop the recording now.